All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning in to the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So, what I want to call this podcast is every time I've gotten injured, I've come back smarter. And I had this on my list as far as wanting to do a podcast on this, but I forgot about it. But then one of my closest friend actually, his son got injured himself playing basketball yesterday, and he's really exceptional in baseball. Most likely, he's going to do very well in that. And I also have another very close friend of mine whose son's very good in baseball, exceptional. I don't know what he's a pitcher. I think he throws around 95 or something. And these kids are lifers in baseball, and they're just exceptional athletes. And they have incredible parents too, and that dedicated their life to helping them achieve their goals. And both fathers are amazing, because I really think they're not parents that are assholes, I guess you could say. They stood behind their child because they love baseball. And obviously the fathers did too, but they're not the type of parents they weren't forced fed this. They wanted to help their children as much as they could, or their child. And it's all on them. It's on the child. You know what I mean? So they're the force behind it, not the parent. But he hurt his ankle. According to my buddy, he said he tried to hide it from him. And I have very weak ankles, and I have very small joints. And he went to the doctors. I guess he broke his ankle, and he was upset, obviously. But he knows we all played sports, and injuries are going to happen. And I told my buddy, I said, hey, I've snapped my ankle I don't know how many times. And just a month ago, which is funny, I snapped my ankle walking downtown Seattle on one of those high hills. And there's trees, and then they were doing landscaping or digging out dirt. So I was like an asshole looking at my phone, spinning in a circle, looking for an Italian restaurant I couldn't find. And my ankle went in there, and it snapped. Then I fell forward. My phone went flying. I actually caught it. And I ended up skipping on my left leg, falling down this hill. Not fun, but... Then the next day I went to warm up in the gym, pulled my lower back. The next day I went to a Mexican restaurant. My girlfriend, she picked me up at the airport. I got up. I couldn't get up my left knee. So all that was obviously from that injury. It just didn't hit me at the same time. But regarding my buddy's son's injury, I said, for one, we got to get shoes that are higher on the ankles. That's what I did. I remember when I brought Jordans the first time. And we would wear high tops growing up in Chicago. But when I got the first pair of Jordans when they came out in the 80s, because we lived in Chicago, wrapped that around my ankle, it just felt different. It was very secure around my ankle, and I wouldn't, go to my left or right as much because we played so many sports. It just felt really good back then. But sometimes an injury, and I told him this, is an eye-opener. And sometimes when you get injured when you're younger, it's something that now is in the back of your head. And it's not a a life-changing injury. But I told him, your son's now going to realize, one is, when he's playing basketball, I don't think he had the right shoes on. He's going to probably have to get the right shoes. He's also probably going to have to consider, because he's getting bigger and stronger, getting something where maybe, everything he's wearing is higher on the ankle. Maybe wrap it up at times. It just varies what's going to work best for him. But he's going to start paying attention to that now. Because the last thing he wants to happen is anything in the future regarding that. Because he's only in 8th grade. But this is what I think a lot of people I don't believe look at sometimes as an injury. They look at it as a fail. Or, oh my God, this sucks, this is that. It's true, it does suck. Now, I've injured myself numerous times working out throughout my life. Numerous. And I'm somebody who's always tried to prevent injuries. I couldn't even imagine. I'm very weird because I don't break bones. And I'm very small jointed. But I snapped my rotator's cuff. I don't even know how many times I pulled out my back. And I think that was mainly from wrestling. My neck, I broke my toe sliding in the home plate once. That's one thing I did break, is my toe. It jammed real bad. I've come close to tearing my bicep, my tri, all these things, lifting heavy weights. I was right on the border. I pulled my hammy I don't know how many times. My knees throughout my life, I've just felt, after lifting weights my entire life, put it this way, My tendons and joints and muscles have been worked to death. I lived I'm 50, a hard 50 years, not from somebody who does physical labor, but from somebody who never stopped working out or doing things fitness related. But if you're somebody who's, if you get injured, now if it's a serious injury, that's a whole different thing. And if you know anything about me, I just want to help people through their injuries. One thing I tell people, and I did videos on this on YouTube, is I call it starting from ground zero. I may have even done a podcast regarding that, where when you get injured, stop the, press the brakes or whatever. Just slow down, because too many people want to recover too quickly. I really believe this, and you see this a lot in professional sports, and I get it. They're making millions of dollars. They have a lot of pressure. They have the fans, the owners, everything, the franchise on their back. They want to get back out there, perform. They have endorsements and all these things. If you're the average Joe and you hurt yourself, study and figure out what's the best way to recuperate. I always want to keep moving, though, if you can. Even though I snapped my right ankle last month, I have not stopped any of my workouts. I brought 3 new pairs of shoes, 2 boots for my ankle, and my girlfriend, actually, I take that back, brought me a pair of Jordans for my ankle again, because I had lower cut shoes. I said, you know what? I need that support. Even when I'm working or not working, I just want a higher shoe on my ankles. Again, I'm getting older, and I'm like, I can't afford these injuries. I can't, if I snap my ankle, I can't work, or I can't go work out. I can't do anything. So I'm going to start, at least for now, wearing mid-tops or boots till I get that, until it recovers entirely, which could be probably up to 3 to 6 months. I don't know. I've done this numerous times. That's about the time frame. And it's hard when you snap an ankle or hurt your foot or anything down there, or your knee or your legs, because if you keep walking or doing whatever, you're always going to be putting pressure on that. But I've learned from my past. I know how to recuperate this ankle, because I've done this numerous times throughout my life, playing all different types of sports. Last time was tennis. About 20 years ago, I went and played indoor tennis. I was doing drills, and I turned and I snapped it. It got as big as like a 16-inch softball. This one was about a 12-inch softball. But with me, I started with ground zero, but I never stopped working out. Now, obviously, I'm not squatting. I can't put pressure. When I'm doing legs, I'm using all different types of equipment where I don't put pressure on that ankle. But I'm still doing hamstrings. I do a lot of one-legged stuff with calves, back to maybe just doing my left foot. And if I'm doing my right foot, it's very light. But it's more about getting it in condition. I'm doing a lot of swimming, walking in the pool. And I start from ground zero. And a lot of people may be like, you don't even have to go back that far. Well, I am. Because the last thing I want to do is re-injure or first of all, injure something on top of an injury. But I want to get on the recovery path as quickly as possible. And I think a lot of people, they're too lazy, they twist their ankle, or they hurt themselves, they're laying on the couch for 3-6 months, they quit everything. That's ridiculous. Unless you really are in a position where you can't move or you can't do certain things. But I remember even when I tore my rotator cuff, I've discussed this, that did not stop me from working out at all. Yeah, I definitely wasn't doing shoulder presses or chest. But I did everything else. I really did everything else with that workout that I could do. I never even stopped doing chest. I would just do chest with one-arm dumbbells or cable crossovers or whatever I was doing, machine equipment, for long periods of time. One side I was trying to recuperate. The other side was just like I never missed a beat. And then a lot of people were like, Rich, your right side or your left side's destroyed. Your right side's going to get so much stronger than my left. What I discovered was eventually I forced my left to catch up to my right? And as time went on, believe it or not, my left side ended up at times maybe even stronger than my right because I was focused in on it so much more. Let me get some water here. But I'm telling you, when you injure yourself, also, you learn about your body, what strengths and what weaknesses it truly has. You're kind of, if you get injured doing something ridiculous, that's on you. That can happen to anybody. I don't care if you jump out of a plane. I don't care if you're doing something athletic. Most injuries to me that happen were bullshit that I never knew were going to happen. My rotator rotator cuff snapping out was me playing football like an asshole with no pads at 20-something years old with grown men, and I'm 230 pounds, and I fell and I snapped. I first blasted somebody, which I think rocked it, and then I fell on it, and it snapped. Should I have been doing that? Absolutely not. Again, what I learned from that is those days are over. I'm not going to put my body through that anymore. I'm not 15 years old. I'm not 10 years old. I don't recover that way anymore. Plus, the damage I could put onto somebody else and myself is a lot more drastic because we're so much stronger. And you kind of forget those type of things. But back to injuries when I'm learning about myself is, you have to understand that your body is like no one else's. You may look the same, but nobody recovers at the exact same amount of time because nobody has the exact same lifestyle. No matter who you are, you eat differently, you train differently, you sleep differently. Did I say eat, sleep? Whatever. Everything you do, you have different jobs. Everything is different, right? You do not live the same life as anyone else, so you have to realize that. And your recovery, again, everybody has different genetics. It's just different. So you have to learn what works best for you. Sure, when you go to a doctor, he's going to give you and say, you need to do this, 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 this. But if you look at that, that's usually a study on what has worked the best for many others, or what he has learned throughout the years, what he thinks is the best, or whatever the case may be. You have to figure out, when you're injured, what's best for you. No one lives your life. Nobody feels your pain. Nobody feels anything you feel. I'm going to tell you right now. And the quicker you learn that about yourself, and just smarten up. Don't do stupid shit. And the other thing, too, I realized a lot of times is, if you injure yourself, say you injure your right arm, right? And obviously you have to use your left arm because your right one's, you break your arm, whatever the case may be. Don't burn yourself out like your other arm, if that makes sense. Don't tire it out and become lazy at the point where if your arm is broken, right, the quicker, again, like I was discussing earlier, the quicker you start to get that movement or learning how to recover, because a lot of times, especially with legs, hips, knees, ankles, you start to lean on one side or you start to do something, and before you know it, it becomes a habit. Before you know it, you don't realize as time goes on, you're taking a toll on that side of your body more than your other. And you have to focus and get that balance back. Your body is, as you know, is built a certain way, and you want to have that foundation strong on both sides. Your body is split right down the middle. It's half. Everything is right and left, basically. But when people sometimes get injured, they neglect the injury, and then instead of addressing that, they do, like, say you sprain your right knee, hypothetically, or you hurt yourself, and now you're putting all the pressure on your left side. Instead of just trying to recuperate and getting that right side fixed, you neglect that for many, many years. This happens a lot with hips, like I was saying, knees and ankles and things in that joint. So if you are going through that, you have to get that fixed. You have to figure out a way. I don't know if it's surgery. I don't know if you have to go to therapy, whatever the case may be. Don't neglect any part of your body. And sometimes maybe we have to. You may end up in a position where there's no other choice. But the quicker you address that, the better off you're going to be. So please just learn from your injuries. Don't get pissy. Don't get crazy. Even car accidents, all those type of things. If you get injured, I get it with people's necks and all that stuff. Try your best to recuperate. And I call it self-therapy. If you got to go to therapy, of course, physical therapy, wonderful. Right? You got to do what you got to do. Doctors, all that. But at the end of the day, if you can, if you're not in that bad a shape, try to do your own self-therapy. Start figuring out what's going to work for you. It may be walking a little more. It may be swimming. It may be, I don't care if it's water aerobics. I don't care what it is. Start to learn and figure out again, how am I going to fix this? Don't look at it at doing it quickly either, and learn to experiment. That's the thing I think most people don't understand, is by experimenting and trying different things. I'm always trying different workouts, different things in the water, all these different types of things, because you discover who you are, what your body can handle, what it can't handle. And I like working out all the muscles in my body, and swimming is one of the ways to do that. So, anyways, I hope this helped, but just pay attention after you get injured, please. So, what was I going to say? If you get a chance, yeah, definitely check out my YouTube channel. I'm doing a lot of fitness-oriented things on there, trying to help people prevent injuries, get in better shape, lose weight, gain muscle, blah, blah, blah. I'm also on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all right? All right, well, take care, and if you're traveling, safe travels.